Okay.
Tonight.
So does that one.
Second hand later on. All right, let's call this meeting to order. Mr. O'Connor will not be here tonight. He had his knee replacement. He says he's not up and around very well. So, call the meeting to order. Certification of quorum, publication, all that good stuff. Is all done. Correct. Approve the meeting agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda and not necessarily in this order.
Move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For information, the next meeting is November 18th, as usual. And the minutes of the August 19th meeting. September, we had no quorum, so we did not have a meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 19th.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Citizen comments. Hi,
Yes,
Gloria.
Dave. Surprise! How's everybody? Good?
Good.
Listen, you didn't shovel snow, so I'll be glad. Our total to date now is $14,548.85. That's about $3,000 from last month to this month, which is wonderful. And we're getting into that spendy season again. We got Halloween, we got Thanksgiving, we got voting, we got all kinds of stuff. Please, please, please vote this time around. Every vote. I mean, even if you don't like it, vote. And on your way out, please take a look at the landscaping outside. It looks beautiful right now because of all the color stuff and all the changes. And you can see how some of these plants just took off once we got summer weather here. I know it took a while to get here, but it got here. So just do that. Anybody wants me to volunteer someplace for anything? Find me, because I'm available. But don't forget, Family Fresh. That's our best friend. We just got another check from them recently.
Super.
Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy.
Super, thank you, Gloria. Anybody else? Okay. Linda.
Okay, number one, on my library report, that photo is the books that we replaced here in the library that were damaged. It was the mystery collection that we had just moved in that room, so we needed to replace them. As far as visitor counts, you know, our average per day is going down a little bit here. We'll see what happens in October. Mary did not have any programs in September, so that makes a big difference for us. The card holders, well, you know, we keep growing. Even though it's a small amount, we still keep growing. And we don't take, we don't have cards for babies and newborns until they're 3 years old, because we have a lot of people, they like to be right away when they get home, go to the library and say, we took the baby on its first trip to the library. Which is kind of cute. Our total checkouts for the ebooks and e-readers is 16,000. That is going up. I believe last year we ended the year at 14,000. So you're going to see a growth in that. The computers have been really busy lately. I mean, today for sure they were busy all day long, and I do not know what individuals are doing. It was full all day long. Now tomorrow you come in here and there won't be one person at that computer, but they were here today. When I purchased materials, I added 4,986 items to the collection. 83% of the additions was in print and 17% like in audiovisual materials. That would be books on CD, music, CDs, DVDs, items such as that. The yearly activity, well, we're at 208,000 for our total circulation.
Excluding ebooks, right?
Excluding ebooks. And then, like I said, a total of 4,986 items has been added this last year, and we still maintain where it's more print materials than audiovisual materials. Like I said, Mary didn't have any programs, so you see two baby zeros there under the programs. The teen programs, or the young adults, that's growing. We like to think it's because the kids that Mary had when they were little are starting to use the library as teens. Carol does a good job with the Teen Advisory Board where they are in charge of the programming they do and things like that. So. Adult programming went on a downslide since we lost the programming person. And the Hudson items, we circulated 151,000 out of that 208,000. And we have 69,753 items in the collection. We are to the point now where two individuals are doing an inventory of the collection. It hasn't been done since we moved. It would be kind of nice. You don't realize how many lost items you have or misplaced items until you do an inventory. And it really okay,
Linda, can I go back and clarify just to make sure I understood what you said? So of the 208 items we have in the collection, 151,000 of those circulated sometime in the last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the collection still holds a lot of the, it still is attracting a lot of the users
Right.
with the titles we have available. I did move the rental book collection into a different spot because we just weren't attracting people. Now it's downstairs where the circulation checkouts, and it is getting used more. You can try new things, but you also have to have a good spot for the new things so it can circulate. That'll be the third move for the books. I did include the bridge gap comparison in case over time you want to remember how much were the donations, what were the expenses. I just put it in there just as an FYI for you. The circulation trends I also have, and yes, our circulation is going down, but it also is going down at other libraries because I did check their circulation as well. It is a statement that I always hear when I go to Directors Council, and on Thursday, the St. Croix librarians will be getting together, and I know they'll be talking about how their circulation has dropped, but at the same time, there is the audio books, there's the Kindles out there, there's iPads. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you looking?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at,
Oh, that page?
yeah,
With like errors in it?
no, I'm looking at that percentage,
Mhm.
circulation of Hudson items and circulation of other.
Yeah, because see, in January through September, 151,000 was Hudson items, 57,000 was other more libraries.
Is that consistent?
Yes, and it might change because they did a new algorithm because they felt we were taking in more than sending out. And they try to have it so it's balanced. What we take in, we take. The number of items we take in, not the circ, but the number of items that come from other libraries. And what we give to other libraries, they like to see it pretty close. So I didn't want.
I think the 25%, I saw somewhere that I think previously it was like last year maybe 24% or 23. So it's been about at that, which is, I think, answers the question.
Yeah.
Linda, maybe I'm confused. How can an algorithm play into circulation?
It's
Manipulate figures.
not in circulation, but the number of items we send out and send in. They don't want one library. For example, Altoona is the very first library you see when you want to reserve something. Okay, everybody puts a reserve on Altoona's items. They're getting burdened by the rest of our, by the other libraries because people are just going to do Altoona.
So it's the way it displays to the
It's not
user?
necessarily displays, but how it distributes those reserves. At one time, before we upgraded to Sierra, there was a big problem with Altoona. I mean, I heard it at every meeting. When you put a reserve on, go down the list. Because, but I just wanted to put this stuff out here because we are getting close to the end of the year. Like in 2012, it was an 8% decrease in circulation from 2011, and then in 2013, it was a 10% decrease from 2012. It's just something to be aware of. But realize other libraries are having the same problem. And they're seeing a growth in the electronic downloadables.
And then when you say that that's representative of what's happening in other libraries, has there been any conversation? I mean, what's the conversation with respect to a response to that? And has there been any yet?
Oh, yeah. A lot of them feel that the system should be checking on the circulation counts. They question why is our library so busy and yet our circulation is going down. I
So
know
they
River Falls-
question the numbers
They
as
question the
opposed to,
numbers. Because they're super busy, and how come my circulation's going down and I have all these people walking in all the time? It is a question.
So they're questioning the data that's been gathered.
Mhm. Yep, they question the,
so.
But it's
have-
offset by the electronic distribution and stuff, John.
well, some.
More and more people are using those methods to,
And they don't have to come to the, and do
Yeah, right.
overdrive
exactly.
if they have, you know.
But they are coming.
Mhm.
I was going to say, has any discussion been had about doing some kind of in-library surveys to ask people who are visiting,
Mhm.
why are you here?
Yeah. Mhm. Yes, no.
I mean, to find out what is drawing them in and the numbers and the busyness.
And you know, a lot of people talk about have more programming, but you take that chance and you only get 2 people for a program. The other night I had the one on gluten, I had 5 people sign up and only 2 showed up. And then yet the canning one is overfilled. It's a, and I get kind of annoyed when I hear about, well, yeah, a lot more programming, but how do you get the audience at the same time?
Is there a way by which people can tell you what types of things they'd be interested in, kinds of programs they'd like to see, that sort of thing?
But that doesn't mean they come in.
Yeah.
People don't
It might
always,
help the
don't
odds
always
a
do what
little
they
bit.
say they're going to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, give it a good try. The one that, right now, that will bring in people is the one that I have scheduled with Barb Kruger for the IT workshops. Now, what we've did this time, you have to sign up, you get 20 minutes. And then the next 20 minutes is somebody else. Simply because some days she comes, there's nobody here. Next day, she can't get to them all. And then they're really kind of agitated. So that's what we did this time. And we do have it on the, all of our programming or all of our services advertised on our webpage and Facebook. So we do what we can. Any other questions about what I have here?
Okay.
The other thing, The reason we have a revised agenda is because I received a letter from the St. Croix County request for reimbursements to the libraries, our neighboring libraries for circulation. Dave, you want to talk, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, we got this at the town level also, and it was distributed to the four partners and the town supervisors, town chairs, mayors, the presidents, you know, all the entities got it. And, you know, I mean, this is just something we decided not to do, and it's removed from our budget. It saves us a lot of money in the budgets, and we were united in that, and the county's just asking us to reconsider. Well, it drains our budget, so I know we wouldn't be in favor of it, we're not in favor of it at the town level. And I think that's universal with the city and the village and the town of St. Joe, I believe.
What did the
Fair
city
prison.
decide the other
Did you
day?
take action on it, Rich?
The city discussed and left it up to the library board to make their own decision on this.
Which
There's
they
no
should. It's
legal
our
obligation, as we understand it, there's no legal obligation to do this.
Right.
Another thing I'd like to point out is just until there was some sincerity and fairness of it all, I mean, to have somebody, for our cert to be $2.50 and somebody be $4.80, the reimbursement rates just, it has to be equalized for them to even really come and ask the question, I think.
Mhm.
It would be interesting to know how many of our residents know that when they visit one of the other libraries, that in a sense, a potential obligation is created for us to reimburse that library at, you know, $3.50. I would guess most of our residents don't have a clue about that. And I, you know, so wouldn't know whether it's a good idea to leave that alone, or whether we should make them aware of that situation.
Well, this is the county asking us, because the
Right.
county took money out of their coffers and paid those libraries this year.
This year,
So,
yeah.
you know.
Well, there's several things that are interesting. One is the letter from the county is actually not correct according to the joint agreement, because it mentions being reimbursed for use, but for circulation by all four municipalities, and that's not what the original agreement was. It was only for the three that joined the Hudson Library. It was to compensate for the loss of reimbursements, and both libraries were not being reimbursed for Hudson circulation, just like we're not being reimbursed for. It's only the the residents of those communities that do not have a library. Anyway, so it's interesting that the letter's is not correct according to what even when they're making the request. But I understand from Linda that the libraries that asked for money only asked for reimbursement from the three municipalities. So the librarians understood what was in that original joint agreement, even if the county didn't.
So do we want to do anything to take any action on this?
I don't think we need to. I think it's been established already.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm just asking the question, you know, I mean, we've voted on it in the past.
Yeah, we're just voting
And
the
not,
same thing
yeah,
again.
yeah. I don't think there's any consensus to change our,
It's,
we can't afford it.
well, right. And some of the libraries, this is really only the second year they've asked. They was fined for 8 years that they did not ask for reimbursement, and now they've started. So it must not have been as big a problem as it's being put forward.
During discussion.
I said, no action taken.
That's correct.
We stand on our previous actions.
That could be the action that we would take if we wanted to.
Yeah,
Stand by our previous.
stand on our previous actions, yeah, I agree. Right, Friends of the Library.
Andrea, again. Hi.
Good evening.
You might all remember possibly that when we moved to this wonderful building, the Friends wanted to help in some way to get past the foreseeable budget crunch. I think everybody knew that was going to happen. And so the Friends pledged $15,000 a year for 5 years to the general budget. I believe that's where that money has gone, or has needed then, right? So this is our 5th year and our final donation to meet that obligation. And so I'd like to present Linda with our 5th and final
Fifth and final.
check for $15,000.
Thank you.
I would like all of you to, after the meeting's done, if we could just stand in front of that beautiful artwork, and Grady would take our photographs for the newspaper, because this is quite a milestone for us and for you.
So $75,000 over 5 years.
Absolutely, yeah, wonderful.
And they worked hard.
Yeah.
It was not an
Oh, yeah.
easy.
It's not easy money.
We know the hours you put in, it's,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
So
Great.
Would we like to pause and do that now, so she doesn't have to wait until
Oh, this is true.
we're done?
This is true.
Oh,
You could,
okay.
yeah, we
We
could,
can do that?
We
you could
appreciate
have the rest of the
it.
evening off if you
You
like.
don't have to sit and wait till we're finished.
I would appreciate that, thank you. So I suppose I'll take it out and then I'll hand it to Linda, and all of you can be around us. I didn't know if you wanted to get up to do that or not. Good exercise, right?
You probably should be.
we should have had a
front,
big
right?
one.
I
Yeah,
have one of those really big ones.
A big one.
Oh, Linda, yes,
Okay.
here we go.
All
And
right.
this is just the envelope, but it doesn't matter.
3, 2, 1, cheese. Burger.
yeah.
I'm sure one
You
of
want
them.
to do a couple of them, or did you?
I took like 2 or 3. So.
That should be
It's a
good.
surprise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank
Thank
you.
you, Grady. Thank you all.
Well,
And there was a good picture in the paper this week, right? Last week.
Yeah, we earned another 1,000, as Gloria mentioned, from the family fresh receipts that you helped donate or collect for us. So, yeah, it comes around, goes around.
well,
Thank you.
75,000 is quite a feast.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's
Right
amazing,
on.
awesome, awesome, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, well, the president's not here, and I don't know what comments he was gonna make, other than the communication, the session is this Saturday.
Right, and we really are, I know Rich and I are going to be there. Is anyone else going to be able to be there?
I can't have a wedding.
I'm in Chicago, something.
Excuse me?
No, I'm not able to
You're
do
not able?
that. Well, then we can avoid potential of any kind of quorum, I guess.
Well, she posted the meeting,
Yeah, it's
so,
been posted
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah, so. Marion, you can't either?
I'm out of town.
You're out of town.
That's really a shame, because we really were hoping for good representation.
Yeah.
It worked.
Right.
Have we gotten feedback from some of this?
Yeah, we think there's about 30 people right now who are going to be there. And we're making telephone calls to encourage others. I don't know, Rich, if there's anyone else on the city common council that we might invite to come.
Didn't we like the entire council? The entire city council?
We didn't, no, we invited several people. We didn't invite everybody.
Because there's really only, well, including the mayor, there's 7 people.
Right, yeah. I think there were 3. I mean, we invited 100 people, so we didn't, it was on the original list. Anyway, and Marion suggested, and I'm going, is it Darla? Darla Meyer, but she said no, turned us down right away.
Have people responded, yes or no, or are they just not responding?
We've gotten responses from about half of the people, so that's partly why we're doing some follow-up and trying to see if we can. We're trying to make sure we have a good cross-section representation so that the various constituencies government and education and medical and business and arts and social service agencies. And so we're trying to get a wide collection of input. And of course, there was the survey, which also will be helpful in terms of providing. One question, the board agreed to split the cost of the consulting fee. There's going to be a small cost associated with the meal that was not part of, that doesn't go to the consultant. So I don't know, we're probably talking about $100 or maybe $150 at a max per organization. So does anyone, I mean, is there any problem with the library board paying our third of that as well? Do you see?
You know, we have a donation Bridge the Gap fund here, and there is $1,500 sitting in it, and there is another $2,000 that's going to be added to it. So as far as, I believe it was $3,000 we have to pay out, was it not?
Right.
1/3. And we've never had a motion on that to,
We had a motion to agree to pay. We didn't say where the money was coming
It was a
from.
three-way split.
Yeah, we approved that.
but where is the money coming from? In what line item?
Yeah, we didn't, that was not,
Now, this line item here, Bridge the Gap, with the $2,000 that has been donated, we would have $3,000 in that account. It just doesn't show up, it's like,
I think we were just thinking it was gonna come out of,
someplace
Yeah,
of,
it's just-
and it's up to you, but I need to know. So when I get the bill, I'll pay it.
okay, so there really are two questions on
Yeah.
the table. One is,
for the food,
right,
and one for the,
the other two organizations, the Friends and the Foundation agreed to pay that 1/3 of the costs associated with. I think that's the only other cost because the space that we're using, I think we're not being charged anything for it.
where's, Linda, where is it on the budget?
if you look in the revenue, under donations,
Yeah, but this has to be.
you have to, it's on this sheet here, our financials sheet.
Yeah.
We have a income coming in.
1525 is what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then there's an additional $2,000 that has not been recorded that was donated in October.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but you need the expense to put it under.
That's right,
Yeah,
yes,
this is
yes.
You know,
I'm just saying this,
yeah, you're just saying that that's
It
the
will-
money available.
it'll balance it out.
What you're saying is bridge the gap, on 35, 25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Would that be in contract services as far as the expense item?
That's probably where, yeah.
$299.
Well, I'm just asking if contract services would be an appropriate place for it. If you transferred whatever it was into,
What kind of things come out of that, Linda? His main one was in June for 2,100, wasn't it?
Mm.
That was for the 3M maintenance, I believe. $299. Department of Public Instruction was $200 for the interlibrary loan. Schindler Elevator Corporation was $2,100. Oh, and then our safety check was $50. So that's mainly the Schindler elevator, comes out of there, the yearly contract.
We're kind of over already, but you could use conferences. Conferences are
No, conferences will be used up.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we
You're a
know,
little flavor.
there's not gonna be any money in the budget for it. We're not gonna
You're
find,
not gonna find a line item.
we're not gonna find a line, we're just trying to figure out where to put.
if you need to have
Oh, I
something
see
to
what
put
you
it
mean.
to.
Okay.
Because it is really, if you think of, it is kind of a convention, a gathering of people maybe.
But I thought that conferences and travel was focused largely on staff.
Well, we do have the
Yeah,
two
that's
line,
staff and training.
yeah, staff development. and conferences.
And this is a consulting.
I think
This
it's,
is, yes,
yeah.
yes. It's Library Strategies, St. Paul, Friends of the St. Paul Library. And we really don't have we used to have another fund that we didn't budget for this, which was, I think, consulting services, I think,
It
actually.
was planning.
Planning, okay.
Yeah, that's where that bogus other
Can we just
study was
add-
done.
Right,
Right,
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. No, I understand. So,
I think, personally, I think it's closest to contract services, and if you end up negative, you end up negative.
Right, right.
Don't care.
yeah.
You know,
I
you're
mean,
not,
we-
you're not under the
I'm just
constraints
saying,
of
we
the
can
township.
add the line item with a zero budget and if you wanted to use like planning or, it'll just be a negative.
Oh,
You could, because then you would know that it's not part of the original budget, that it's
Right.
actually under,
Could you do that in a line
Planning.
item?
Well,
I mean, it's an
it
approved
exists,
budget.
so I would assume you could have him put it there.
yeah,
with zero.
because that would be,
we didn't budget for it, but we.
we agreed,
Expense.
we approved
Agreed.
spending
I
it.
would-
Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. And that's probably the,
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
a motion.
Probably
Yeah.
more precise.
yeah. Someone want to make a motion to that effect?
I'll move that a request be made to add a fund called planning, or add back into a fund called planning, and that the costs of the library strategies consulting and related costs be assigned to that new, that fund.
One second.
We have a motion and a second. So under discussion, we just say that's an added line item, and we understand there'll be a negative,
Yeah, without the
negative
budget.
balance and
We're adding
a
it without budget.
zero budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
zero
added
budget
under the
total.
motion.
Yeah, that's just, yeah,
Because
we're
if
in
you're
discussion.
be
That's
offset by
part
all
of
that
discussion.
income we're gonna have from all.
All right, so Barb, who's the second?
Karen
second.
was.
Oops, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, anything else? Under,
So the second item is whether we proceed with an annual, this fall, with an annual fundraising campaign. And we do have, in this budget, there was money allocated on the cost side for the postage and the publication of the materials. And we have $10,000 on the income side in the budget for the proceeds from this fundraising campaign. So, but the person who carried it out was Ally, who, in that position, we did not fill. So if we're going to proceed, Library Strategies is willing to put the promotional, or at least they were, if we could have gone forward last month. I don't know if they still are if they have the time available. But they have, based on what they've learned about this library over the course of working with us on the getting ready for the retreat, they have the knowledge to put together a campaign or a brochure, and that's basically what we would be asking them to do.
I thought that's the route we were gonna go. But I don't
We haven't
recall.
approved that. We talked about doing it, but we didn't, and because we didn't have a quorum in September, nothing happened. We didn't take action to move forward. So,
so is that going to cost us?
it will cost us a couple of $1,000.
To compile a brochure.
Probably a couple, not more than $2,000. It might be less than that.
That and over the top of the the expenditure amount that we were envisioning for
Right, right.
printing and postage and
Right,
so forth.
right. I mean, right now, we already have 3,000 there that we've gotten without even doing anything.
I think some of the logic though too is having NAMCOG develop, we would generate more revenue.
Yes,
Than
yes.
projected revenue that we would do on our own. So
Yeah,
if we
I
do
mean,
a
we're
little
not,
more
we're not gonna
to
get
offset-
probably much more without doing anything.
Yeah. But
So,
using their expertise.
We're
they could
using their
probably
expertise
pull
and-
a little
right,
more
right.
revenue in.
so I would like to make a motion that we move forward with with Library Strategies preparing a annual fundraising campaign materials that would be distributed as quickly as possible this fall,
It's gonna cost up to $2,000.
up to $2,000.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Discussion?
I'd like to have some discussion, just say, I don't know how everybody feels. I think members of all our towns and cities are probably at the edge right now, of potentially being strapped. I don't know when this would kick off, but the election is November 4th. St. Joe's, the township, the school district, and who knows who else is looking for money. I hate to see this dump on top of all of that, so I think timing's important for whenever it is. The other thing is we decided that depending on the way it ends up being presented, was that, we were budgeting down each year because of constantly the same people getting asked and contributing, and, fewer and fewer may potentially contribute, especially depending on what comes out of this strategic planning retreat as well. So I think there's a lot of things that we should consider before we just vote to do it. I think timing's important. I think the outcome of the strategy is important. I think the outcome of the election's important. And I just hate to make people feel like it's something else that they should be contributing to. That's all. That's my viewpoint.
When do you think the timing could happen, or who would communicate?
I mean, I have not spoken with Stu Wilson, who's the principal there, about, when I spoke with him 2 months ago, his response was, we should be able to do this fairly quickly. But it's certainly, many people at the end of the year gather all of the requests that they have received and decide how they're going to spread their charitable dollars. To the hospital, to the FIPS, to...
And I think the people that are gonna give are gonna give.
Right, right,
Like you say, they split it up, they think it's a valued contribution, they're gonna give.
right, yeah,
As long as we get more than we spend, we're not at any loss.
right.
So compared to what we used to get in the past, we should be able to clear our expenses of
Right.
2,000 plus postage plus.
Yeah, it's 2,000 plus 5,000, was 4,600 or whatever it was for the postage part of it, so you gotta clear 7,000, let's figure.
20,
And we budgeted 10, so.
Which was less than what.
So that would mean, budgeting 10 would mean that's what we're expecting to net. That was last year. We netted 19,
Actually,
doing it ourselves.
Actually, we didn't, but we budgeted the expense too, so that wasn't net, that was,
I think we budgeted
Yeah.
10,000 of revenue,
Yes.
over and
Yes, we did.
above
okay,
revenue.
okay, for net, okay.
Yeah, yeah, so net. So the point is that I think we have to plan on bringing in 17,000. Well, we're at 23,000. My point is that the whole impact of this, hopefully you're budgeting less than 10 depending on the outcome of everything, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, this, last year was 19 net.
Right,
Yeah, so the first year was 23 net, last year was 19 net.
right, but we budgeted 10 thinking that it would
Yeah.
slide.
Which was the
Right.
point that I made.
But we were
I
actually
was-
counting on more than 10.
Right, but we wanted to budget down,
We
yeah.
budgeted very conservatively.
Yeah,
I'm just saying now we're throwing more expense to the equation, and we should budget
But we also did,
down
I mean,
again.
we did not replace the staff person who did the work. We don't have any, the expertise that created this brochure a year ago is gone.
I think I'm following that. Yeah, if it's gonna get done, we need some help doing it.
Right.
But my point is that we budgeted down, we brought in above budget, but I think the feeling is that we still have to budget down.
And
So we have an additional expense, and we have other things going on outside.
So
So
we
it,
need more
we
money.
could be affected, so let's be careful is my
Yeah,
point. We
right,
got
yeah.
$7,000 of expenses now.
And the other thing is, what are they gonna put into the brochure? I mean, we don't have any review, without it going out, the board wouldn't get a chance to look at it.
Yeah, we go back and forth a couple of times.
Yeah, we went around and around about the wording and this and that.
And in terms of how positive or negative
Right.
it was.
But we weren't campaign experts and fundraising experts, they're gonna know keywords, phrases,
That's right, yeah.
they're gonna have a better picture.
I don't think there's any question that they're the experts in the field, that as far as that's concerned, but we had a lot of input on the brochure last time.
What did you say the turnaround would be to?
I mean, when I spoke to them, I was hoping to be able to tell them that we were a go in September and that they would be able to have it done this fall. I mean, so we didn't have the meeting, so we didn't have, I honestly can't answer the question. I would be speculating. I would think that they could do it in a couple of weeks, actually.
I think it is a good point in terms of all the other
We're
activities
rolling a cycle.
associated with the elections.
Right.
It's something that we need
Months
to,
into it.
I don't know, if being sensitive to it isn't the right thing, but being aware of it, I think that's
Right, right.
probably.
So, I mean, it could be held off and brought to the next board meeting. A draft could be brought here and then we'd be ready to go. That it would go in the mail that, right after our next board meeting is what, the 18th?
November 18th, that's what I was wondering if we could have it brought back, if we did go for this, if we could have it brought back to the board.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
still in the right
That's the
season.
reason.
we're in the right season. I mean, I think if you can get it to people before December 1st, it gets in their end of year charitable giving. It'll be with the flood of others that will come to their doors, people's doorsteps.
No, they get to choose, don't they?
They get to choose, that's right, that's right.
I think it makes some sense to hold off at least another month, I think.
But I do, if I ask them to prepare a brochure, there's going to be a cost, whether we
Correct.
accept it or not, there's
Yes.
going to be a cost associated with that.
Yeah,
And that, I guess, we would have to determine if we are in favor of moving forward with the campaign,
Mhm.
then that's something, we would have to accept as an expense we're willing to
Right, right.
to undertake. We're just not going to actively set it in motion until we see it again in November.
I would be way uncomfortable with it without seeing it,
Okay,
without reviewing it.
yeah.
I would definitely not support that myself, my opinion.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that we bring this back on the agenda for next month after the election results.
We have a motion and a second on the floor now.
Oh, it is out there,
Yeah,
okay.
we have a motion and a second on the floor. So, if there's no more discussion on that motion. No,
What if the motion's modified? to-
Yeah, I forgot the motions.
What if the
And we
motion is
approve-
modified that we
We
approve
approved the
going forward,
brochure.
and then it will come back here on November 18th before going forward?
Just want that in discussion, or you want that in a?
Or we just do it in the
agenda?
motion. And what do we do with this up to 2,000, just?
It
Because
goes,
what we
it goes
have
against
is
the expenses.
move forward with regular
Why don't we vote on
strategies,
this, vote
campaign
down straight over?
materials, and spend up to 2,000.
Well, you can withdraw your second, and you can withdraw your motion if you want. That's up to you.
Okay, so I don't understand the question about the 2,000. I mean, if we decide to go forward,
Well, the motion was, Barb Vansel, move forward with library strategy campaign and have them do the campaign materials and spend up to $2,000.
right?
Bridge the Gap Fund, I think, is the expenditure line.
Yes, okay, but now we're talking, we're gonna wait.
No.
No, we got this motion that we're
No,
working on.
that's the motion. You got-
I messed up.
You got two choices. You
Okay.
can amend your motion to say that it will be brought back for review November 18th.
Right,
And if the seconder approves,
right,
agrees to
right.
that,
And so I would
amend the motion.
amend the motion that the materials will be brought to the board for its approval, for their approval at the November 18th meeting, before, prior to distribution of the materials.
Okay, is there a second to the amendment?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to the amendment. We vote on the amendment first.
Well, wait, do we get to discuss the amendment?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I think I'm still confused because what I think I was trying to do was avoid the commitment of $2,000.
Mhm.
Till we know if we're truly ready or what our timing is gonna be. So my thought was, let's bring the whole motion back at the November 18th meeting
There's
and
no-
decide again based on the results of everything, so that I think everybody knows what's going on.
And then start it.
And then-
Start the activity, or potentially start the activity on November
Yeah,
18th.
so that's my comment to the amended motion.
Okay. Any more discussion on the amendment?
But the timing on that, we would be too late.
It'd be
to
too late.
get
I don't, it won't
anything
happen this
ready
year.
and in the mail and out to people before December
So
1st.
it's the feeling that would be too late to start the activity.
Right.
And if we are in agreement that the campaign is what we want to pursue, then we can move forward with the brochure allocating the funds, but depending on our approval on the 18th, as to whether or not we put it in full.
Yeah,
full.
yes.
But I think the approach to the fundraising campaign in general could be swayed if we waited. It could change. I mean, we might have to give a different approach to it. I mean, it's more than just the library, it's in conjunction with other things that are going on.
Town, schools, everything else.
Yeah.
And which we would have review authority over on November 18th.
Yeah.
if,
Right, but then we spend them,
Yeah, and they would have to modify if we.
That would be the
chose to
risk.
continue.
and then we're still gonna miss it if we do modify it.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, if we modify it, it could go right away. They've got the capability of producing things like this pretty quickly.
I'm sure.
I mean, in fact, what probably might be appropriate is that we would ask Stu to come to that meeting and for him to hear whatever critique there is of the materials, so that he could make the modifications and propose some changes, and we could theoretically do it at the
Then
meeting.
we have a couple
And
weeks
you
to
would
get it
charge.
out by.
and you
I was
would
gonna
charge
say,
us
then you're gonna have
They'll charge us
$250
more.
travel time and,
Actually, I mean, they have not been charging us travel time. He lives
Right.
close, he lives close by.
All right.
I mean, they've been.
So we'll ask him as a friend of the library.
Yeah,
All right. Any more discussion on the amendment of the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
aye.
All right, now, to vote on the motion to initiate this activity. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So, all right,
So,
it passes.
passes, okay.
So you can start, put it together, bring it back to the board, and we'll review it.
Good, thank you.
All right. Finance Committee report.
The Finance Committee reviewed the claims for payment in detail and found nothing to be out of line from that standpoint. We did discuss the also non-recurring expenditure for the Gerson Company for the water damage that was that occurred, and approved to pay the $17,000, which was the reimbursement from the insurance company. And so the total amount of claims that the Finance Committee would recommend would be approved is $100,784.87.
Is there a motion to approve the claims?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, if I can, just because of the water mitigation and all of that. There's one more bill coming in, but the books are completely paid for, is that correct? And the $17,000 part, but now there's one more part. Do we know if that's coming? Because that's pretty substantial. It's 15 or 16,000, I think, right?
That will, if it does come, it's on the dwelling and the city will pay. It's on
Oh,
the
okay, so that's
dwelling.
not our liability at
You
all.
only get the content. We insure the content of the building, city insures for the dwelling.
The city should be responsible.
Okay, so we're even once this is done. We've collected the 17 whatever, we're paying out the 17 whatever, and we're done now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we discussed the $2,500 deductible, and Linda's already taken that out. She only bought the amount of books that we were reimbursed for.
Yeah, okay,
We
right,
lost
I saw
$30,000
that,
in
yeah.
books, but we only bought $3,400 worth of books.
Yep, we're square with,
So square with the deductible.
Okay. Are you looking for a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they got-
we got a motion,
Okay, all right, that was just my discussion.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
We went through year-to-date, and year-to-date is actually, St. Joseph's had an outstanding payment to us, which we just received, so they're up to date.
39,000, so we're even.
They're up to date on theirs now, so we've gotten that in. Wasn't in due in time for this report.
Neil was here at our finance meeting, and
Yeah.
he said that they'd make their payments.
And overall, we're doing very well from a year-to-date standpoint. We're actually $2,900 in favor from last year's net operating revenue, and so that's extremely favorable. Our part-time labor is down $12,651 so far through this year, and the reimbursement to other libraries has certainly been a big impact in controlling our expenses for $34,489. And so overall, we're tracking extremely well compared to forecast and also compared to last year.
Okay.
Question about the St. Joe's, is that just their budgetary cycle that caused them to pay last? Don't know.
No.
Ask St. Joe.
Is there a different reason? I'm just asking.
I think that they're,
Because it became noticeable this time.
well, I think it was actually, they were late last year too, in
Yeah.
my recollection,
It
so.
must just be.
You know, us rural
They
communities.
don't have
They're
a
kinda
good
slow on
come-out
the-
system, I guess.
Yeah, they're kind of slow on the draw.
They want the interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what-
At 0.4%, yeah.
And I'll just make a comment for a while Neil was here, just so this, if somebody takes a look at the balance sheets, they might notice a difference in, the library has been, used to be part of the city according to the accounting principles used by the state. And now they've decided to call us a discrete unit separate from the city. And as a result of that, they capitalize many of our transactions. And that will have an impact on our cash balance, or our actual cash balance will be impacted by this accounting change that they've made.
I think I noticed some of that. The other thing that just, these last several pages are really confusing too.
But all in all, you get by all of the bookwork and all the rest of it, it
It's
really
just how
doesn't
it's
change.
stated on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
books.
yeah.
Just,
Our budget will continue to work off of our budget,
Yeah.
and our cash position will remain the same.
Yeah, so it's not gonna hurt, it's just, you might see something that looks crazy.
Kind of a net worth bailiwick calculation that the state has changed in this, or the city's changed.
It's a new algorithm.
Yeah, there you go.
Another new algorithm.
Algorithm.
And that's all the finance committee has.
All right. Any other business? Personnel committee report, requests, anything there? Board comments in terms of items for future agendas?
I'm gonna go on record and make a comment, and it probably could have been done during an action period, but I'm of the feeling that with the investment that the library board has decided to make into this strategic planning joint venture, I think a big mark was missed One is, I don't understand why somebody like Ann Brose is on that agenda, and I asked to have her taken off. She has no interest in this library in any way, shape, or form that I could figure out. Secondly is, I'm missing Mrs. Meyer over on Laurel Avenue, and I'm making that up, who's lived in her house for 35 years, has it paid off, and is just simply trying to survive. I don't see those people on that. I think you missed a big group with this, a group that has been missed time after time throughout any of the processes that the library has taken. I think the list boils down to the same people. It's always community holders, community holders, community holders, and I think the people that are the community holders are the people that are trying to survive. And I think that should be made up. 75% of that strategic planning committee should be the person that just gets up and goes to work in the morning and comes home. That's my comment.
Noted.
Noted.
Yeah, what can I say?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I didn't agree. I thought you said that was a comment.
Yeah, the John Does,
Yeah.
the average Joes, we're looking for community heads, yeah, right. Oh. Okay, any other comments? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
We have a motion second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.